All right, we are live. Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be joining me from today. Good to see you guys. Welcome, welcome. I'm excited for today's session. So today, actually, I am. It's still in Puerto Rico. I was supposed to be in Las Vegas, but I'm sitting in Puerto Rico still. There's a hurricane happening now, and so my connection might be a little iffy in and out, but I just want to give you guys a heads up warning for that. But I do ask you guys that if you're here joining me today, that you put in the chat. Let me know where you're joining from. I love to hear where you guys are coming in from. And I do recommend that you stay through the entire broadcast today for this live session because I am broadcasting live from the hurricane in the middle of the storm here in Puerto Rico. I'm sitting out on my balcony as well. So I may blow away. You may see that happen. So you never know. So it might be a great session. Please stay and watch. We'll see if I survive this session today. But no, I'm excited to be with you guys. We got some rain last night, lost power for a little bit. And right now it's kind of mild. So as these storms blow through and spin around, you get moments of break and it's nice and beautiful and calm. And then you get moments of chaos. So I'm in a moment of a break right now. So I'm glad you guys are joining me. I see people are coming in from Phoenix, Australia. Good morning to you, or early morning to you from Australia. Sophie out there. Iowa. Nice. Texas. I love Texas. Pearland, Texas is in the house. We got California out here, Denver, Louisiana, Kansas. Of course, Jason from New Jersey. He's always with us. I see Joe from Orlando. Good to see you again, Joe. I saw you last weekend in Orlando. It's great seeing you. Costa Mesa, hey, great job, Joe, on your performance in Orlando this last weekend. You did a great job. I know you were at that same event last year, and what a great improvement I saw in you. So you've been working hard. But anyways, without further ado, you guys don't want to hear me just talk all day long. Let's go ahead. I'm going to bring on, I have a guest with me today, and I'm excited for our guest. As usual, we are going to solve all the world's problems on today's broadcast. So stay tuned, take down notes. We are here to fix everything. But let me go ahead and bring her on. Let's see, she's here. There she is. Welcome. I have the one and only Jenn Boyce with us today. So I do appreciate you being with us. Where are you joining from?
I'm joining from Ojai, California today.
Nice. Ojai, California. That's, if those of you who don't know, that's kind of along the coastal area of California, but north of LA and south of San Francisco, right? Did I get that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's a beautiful place. I hear it's actually one of the few places of California I haven't ever visited. People always say good things about it, and I would love to go there someday. I wish I was there with you now.
I know, right? And then missed a hurricane. We don't have a hurricane here. It's a little overcast, but no hurricanes.
I just like drama and excitement in my life. So, I figure let's sit in the middle of a hurricane and see how it goes.
Yeah. Let's do it. That's awesome.
I think it's Hurricane, I forget the name. Irwin? Did I say that right? Okay. Let me look it up here real quick. Those of you who want to know the hurricane names. Irwin, yeah. Hurricane Irwin is upon us. So yeah.
All right.
We're enjoying Irwin's presence.
Give us a break until our session's done. And then you can resume.
Right. Well, I don't mind if it starts raining on me and stuff, just so that you guys can witness the drama of it.
Yes. Always
like one of those,
Jeremy.
I'm one of those weatherman reporters that like to, get out there in the rain with it.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you're joining us. If you don't mind introducing yourself to everyone here today who probably don't know who you are, and letting them know maybe what your experience or background is, what you do.
Yeah, thank you. I would love to. So as Jeremy said, my name is Jenn Boyce, and I own a company. I created a company called The Hollywood Prep. I was a talent agent for 30 years in LA, very successful. But I decided that I wanted to pivot because I wasn't enjoying it as much. And so now I use that 30 years of experience of guiding talent to be successful, I use that in my new company, the Hollywood Prep. And I give parents and actors the exact steps to take in order to be successful in showbiz. So if you want to know what an agent wants, needs, or thinks, I'm your girl. Because I've been one.
Very good. So you were 30 years as a talent agent. Obviously, that's where we met. I know I
Yes,
met you years ago. I forget how long ago it's been, but
I know.
years
Because time flies so fast.
ago, right? And so you were an agent then when I first met you,
Mhm.
and we worked together, and attended different events together, and all kinds of fun stuff.
Yes,
But
I found lots of good kids and adults.
but now you are working as a coach to give guidance to those who are looking to break into the talent industry, to get representation, to improve their acting skills, all that good stuff.
Yes, and for them to understand how the industry works and what the expectations are, because showbiz works, as you know, like no other business. And it's very confusing, and you have a lot of people speaking with a lot of authority that really don't know what they're talking about. And I like to cut through all the BS and tell you, no, 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 these are the exact things you need to do. Or these are the things, like, clients will say to me, well, I'm not booking or I'm not going out. And so I look at all their materials and say, well, your materials aren't up to snuff. Like, what acting classes are you in? Your self tapes don't look right. Let's fix this. These are the steps that you need to take in order to become successful or to land a good agent. There are a lot of places that'll just sign you, but are you being signed by somebody who's legit and is actually going to, help you develop in your career? Or are you just going to sit on somebody's roster for the next 2 years?
Right.
And we
And
don't
and
want
that's
that.
the thing. So some people get paired with the wrong agent. Maybe they're not the right fit for them in this industry, and so obviously you have a lot of knowledge of the different agencies that are out there, and what they're looking for, and who they do best with, talent wise, and all that stuff. So you have a lot of great knowledge and wisdom for anybody who's looking to get into the business. And are there a lot of people like yourself that you found that are kind of helping guide people through the industry or into the industry, or what
I
have you
think
seen out
there's
there?
people out there, but I don't think they have the same pedigree. Sometimes
Right.
it's an acting coach, which is fine. Like, everybody has a different perspective, right? But
Sure.
I feel like there are not a lot of people who have my pedigree as being an agent for 30 years and being well known and successful, giving this kind of advice. Sometimes it's somebody who did a guest star 40 years ago and is, speaking about how the industry works, and the industry grows and develops and changes, all the time. And you have to stay up with what's popular now. And, like, now everything's gone to self tapes. And then where's it going to go from there? And now the talent pool has grown so much. And so, how do we navigate through that and make sure that your headshots and materials and auditions stand out? You know, because
Absolutely.
you can't it's changed so much since I started in the 90s. I mean, we had 26 kids on series, back then. That was when family TV was everything, and we had 1 to 2 kids on every series. And then it changed. Then Friends came out and everything changed, and it wasn't kids anymore. So
Right.
you have to learn to adapt to the industry to stay current with it.
What you do, I feel, is so important, and it's something that is missing with a lot of people. I remember back in the day, I was talking to Dove Cameron's mom, and we were having a chat, and she was telling me her story about how they were up in Seattle at the time, and Dove was wanting to break into the industry and become a Disney star, and she was younger. I'm not sure what age she was back then. Probably I'm sure in her teens. And
Mhm.
her mom was a very successful businesswoman. I believe she worked, as a business professional in her career, and she decided to give up everything and move to Los Angeles. And this is what Bonnie was telling me, that they moved to Los Angeles, for the sake of her getting into, for Dove being able to get
Mhm.
into the acting business. And she told me that they were here for about maybe 2 years. She thought it was going to be easy. Once she got here, she was just going to pick up the phone and start calling. And so she
Yeah.
basically kind of semi-retired, moved, their house and everything, and moved to LA, and thought, okay, let me do what I need to do. I'm a professional in business, and let me get her representation. She said it took almost over 2 years for them to even get an agent, and how she burned through almost everything she had, all of her savings and everything, and was basically kind of wondering if this was going to even happen and if this is going to be the right choice.
Mhm.
Whereas had she made a connection with somebody like yourself 2 years earlier, it probably would have
Mhm.
saved her a lot of time and stress and
And
all that
money.
stuff. And money, right?
Because I see parents and actors spending money in the wrong places, where I'm like, that's not where you need to be focusing your money right now, maybe down the line, or never if you get the right person, So
Right,
because everybody's trying to sell you something, right? And there's great companies, and then there's not so great companies. And then there's also everybody's path is not the same. Right. I've had clients that I found and they booked a series and two national commercials within 6 weeks of coming to LA. But that was
nice.
having 2 years of really good training. And I'm
Mm,
talking about Addison Rickey from the Thunderbins. She lived in
okay,
New Orleans, and she'd been studying with a really great acting school out there, and came to LA when you used to come to LA for pilot season, and she came out for 3 months, and within 6 weeks, she booked the Thunderbins and two national commercials. Um,
nice.
but then we had Kira Kosserin, who plays the older sister on the Thundermans, and the network made Kira come back like 9 times before they signed off on her. And they
Really?
were like, "Can you do it this way? Can you put your hair up? Can you put a sweatshirt on? Could you read the lines this way, that way?" And she was like, "I don't know any other way that I could read this material. Like it's the same material. Like I don't know." And
Right,
she was getting really frustrated, which I totally understand. Meanwhile, Addison was like, "Hi, I'm Addison Rickey." And they were like, "Oh my God, we love you. We're going to hire you." She was very special, but that's the same show, two very different experiences. They
right.
eventually signed off on her. I don't know what the problem was, but it was very frustrating for Kira to be like, how else can I do this? Like, put a dog costume on? I don't know. It
Right.
all worked out. They're actually filming another Thundermans movie right now.
Are they
So
really? Oh, okay. I didn't know that. That's
I'm
exciting.
so excited. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that. So oops, I don't know if, but they are.
We'll we'll bleep that out.
Yes. So,
Well,
so it's,
very good.
yeah, sorry.
Oh no, I was gonna say I have some questions for you. Obviously, having so much experience in the industry, and I know that the people out there watching today are have questions as well. We'll try to get to as many as we possibly can. So, one of my questions is, when's the best age for somebody to start acting? Well, like, is there any age that
Well,
you've noticed that's better for?
we always like the age of like 6 is the golden age because a 6-year-old
Okay,
can work longer than a 3, 4, or 5-year-old. And we want you to be small for your age, right? So that you could
well, I'm a
play.
little bit older than 6, so
Yes.
does that mean I'm too late?
No, absolutely not. No. So, but the golden ages for kids are 6 and 9. 9-year-olds can work
Okay,
older than 6, 7, or 8. So, and then there's not a big difference until you are 18. That's a big milestone right there. Sometimes when you're in that in between age, that 13 to 18, it can be a little bit tough. But I say that's the time for you to really hone your acting skills, and that way then when you do turn 18, you're ready to go,
right.
and
And
even for
13 to
adults.
18
Yeah,
is
sorry.
a age where people are really growing and maturing and changing, right? I mean, you can be, 5'1" at age 13 and then be 6'1" at age 14,
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And it's hard because of the child labor laws in California, at least. All over the world, I don't know what they are. So, but the child labor laws in California are a big deal, and it's great. But studios, it's all about money, and they want to hire an 18-year-old to play 13. Now, there aren't a lot of 18-year-olds that can play 13. Um, so yeah, but that age range can get a little tricky. It doesn't mean that you're not going to work, but it does mean that you are competing against people who probably have bigger resumes that are 18 that can work like adults, you know. Um, no schooling on
And
set, all these things.
how about if somebody is an adult, what's a good, what are some of the good ages that you're seeing happening with?
Well, you know what? I think it goes by categories, right? It's like, what category do you fit in? Are you, for adults, like, are you young dad? Are you older dad? Are you the business guy? Are you, what type of roles are you realistically going to book? Because I find with adults, and I've had this experience with clients in the past. One of my past clients, Henry Dittman, who I absolutely adore, he came out of college with like a theater degree, and he was like, I'm an actor, I can play anything. And I was like, no, you really can't. You got to be a type, sorry. And he's like, no, I can be the surfer guy, and I can be the office guy, and I can be this guy, and I can be the frat guy. And I was like, Henry, you can't be everything. And it took him 3 years of auditioning to finally hone in on what his type was. And he cut his hair off, and he's like, Jen, I know my type. I'm sort of the jerky boss, or the young Republican who thinks he knows everything but doesn't know anything. And so he got headshots that looked like that were kind of quirky and very businessy. And he immediately started booking. I had to rebrand him. So that's where a good agent comes into, because they knew him for 2 years or 3 years. And they would be like, Henry's not right for this. And I'm like, I'm telling you, he's right for this. The first big ad he booked was an H&R Block, and he played an IRS agent that was auditing Cupid. And Cupid was played by the kid from Modern Family, the Luke,
Yeah.
before he booked that show. And it was one of the best spots, but they sent that roll out 5 times on the breakdowns, and I submitted him and pitched him every time. And finally I was like, I'm telling you, see, Henry, if I'm wasting your time, I will buy you lunch. And they saw him and they booked him. But nice. I had to grant him, but until he figured out his type, he kind of flailed about and nothing clicked. So I think when you're an adult, you've got to have I think for anybody who's a teenager on up, you need to have a really clear vision of your type and the type of characters that you can play. I've actually created a workbook for actors that I have available on my website. It's called The Actor's Journey. And it takes you through creating those. I like to call them alter egos. You know how Black women have like each wig is a different attitude and a different girl. So it's that sort of mentality. And it takes you through that so you can get really clear on it. Because when you're really clear on your type and your materials show that, you want an agent to have that instant recognition of like, oh, I know exactly how I can submit this person. I don't have anyone like them. And I've seen this character come out in the breakdowns. And so then they're going to pick you up. If they have to figure out what they can send you as, it's a much harder sell, So it's really important to be clear on those things. I also think in the workbook, it gives you worksheets for like breaking scenes down, because new actors have to work on painting the scene, right? Painting the world for us so that we can see it, which sounds like such a weird thing to say. But when you see an actor do it, you're like, oh my God, they know exactly, they've made really strong choices. And that's super important. Like, what's the goal of the scene? Who are you talking to? What was happening before you walked into the scene? And rather than just regurgitating the lines, because anybody can just say the lines with a little bit of emotion and whatever. But I'm sure, Jeremy, you've seen it before where you see the same scenes over and over again, right? And then you see this one person do it and you're like, damn, that was good. Everybody else was
Like they
good.
really believed it. Right.
Yeah, but you were like, that's the one that's going to book. Like that's the one right there. So, and that's super important. And it's something that, because there's so many things in this industry, you get overwhelmed and you're thinking about too many things, like, oh, I got to do this. I got to do that. I should be doing this. Did my agent do this? Should my manager do this? And you've really just got to hone in and focus in on you as an actor and what you bring to the table. And you have to be super clear on your type and your choices that you make in a scene.
So would you recommend that? Well, I already know my type, like obviously leading man, right? I mean,
Obviously.
I mean, but so somebody like myself that already knows my type, would you recommend I still go through your workbook just to make sure that it
I
confirms that
think
I am a
so.
leading man?
Well, because I think it might open up other things for you, right? You might be leading man, but you can build that out, right? You might be leading man, but you're kind of a jerk, right? And so why are you a jerk? Well, his ex-wife destroyed him, and now he hates women or whatever. I don't know. Like building these backstories of why do I dress the way I dress? Why do I talk the way I talk? How do I treat other people? Those are the pieces that really can help you give an amazing read.
Nice. And don't be afraid of what your type is. I would say, embrace it and don't be ashamed of it. I was interviewing an actor about 6 months ago, I think it was, or so, and he said, older guy, and he said he had a lot of success in the business, and he said it took me a while, but I finally realized that I'm a nerd. I'm the nerdy older man, and that's who my type is. And once I realized that, I started booking all these roles for that type, and I'm not going to be anything else besides that, most likely, and I'm okay with that. And he's had a very successful career, appearing in a lot of different movies and TV shows based on who he is. So
yeah, and that's the goal, because the thing too is that, like, everybody's a type until you become a name that sells tickets, like Jenna Ortega or Brad Pitt or Tom Hanks. In the beginning, Tom Hanks, all he did was comedy, right? It was like romantic comedies, it was bosom buddies, it was slapsticky. I mean, he's amazing. I love him. But then he got to a level where his name sold tickets. Then he could choose what type of roles he could play. And the directors would allow them, because people would just buy tickets just to see Tom Hanks doing something, and so until you get to that level, you're tight. And just because, and especially, like, I say this for younger actors too, just because you're playing a nerd on TV, or you're, the chubby, awkward kid, or whatever it is, that doesn't identify who you are as a person and as a human being. That's how you make your money. I had a kid, Hank Harris, and he was like the nerdy, awkward kid. And he was different, and he didn't really care. He was like, I'm Hank. If you want me, you'll hire me. And he bought his first house, I think, when he was about 19. Just
nice.
from and it was funny because I had another client who used to audition with him, and he was like, oh, freaking Hank was there. He's probably going to book it. I'm like, he probably is. Like, I don't know what to tell you, but they were two totally different actors. And that's the thing too to remember, is that I'm a really strong believer in, if it's your role, it's your role, right? Back in the day when you all went and sat in a room, you all look the same. Okay, right? If you sat in, I remember I had a client, the Cadell family, Reese was on All That, the newer one. She was a series regular, and she was like, well, we're redheads, like, we stand out because we're redheads. They came to LA, and she goes, and I went on an audition, and I walked in the room and everybody was a redhead. And she went, oh, we are not special. Like, oh, we're a dime a dozen. We need to up our game, And so,
right.
like, and not everybody, the only thing that's different is what you bring to the table, right? Your personality, your choices. And so you want to make sure that you stay true to yourself and making really strong choices that work for you and what you feel your character is doing. And that's what makes you stand out from everybody else, because you're all reading the same lines.
Right. Everybody, that's what, yeah, I try to tell everybody, everybody can deliver the lines perfectly, right? What
Yeah,
do you bring that makes it different? Well,
yeah.
speaking of types, even, I saw a couple podcasts from Matthew McConaughey and how he was talking about he was tired of doing romantic comedies. And
Mhm.
have you heard that story before where he was talking
No.
about he had done, he was a leading man in romantic comedies and did a whole bunch. And he told his agent one day, he said, I'm moving out of LA, I'm moving to Texas, and I don't want to do any more romantic comedies. I want drama. And his agent said, okay, if that's what you want, we'll get you out on that. And he tells this story. It's fascinating if you go back and look up the podcast. But he tells a story how a couple of years went by and the agent kept pushing romantic comedies to him. Hey, they really want you on this project. And he kept denying it. He said he got to the point where he thought, maybe I'm going to have to get a regular job because maybe this drama dream of mine is not going to happen. And they came to him. I think one of the movies they came to him and offered him, X amount of dollars, and he denied it. And then like a couple months later, they doubled it, and then they doubled it again. And like it was a struggle for him to really say no to it because he wanted to let people know that he was serious about doing, other
Mhm.
something other than romantic comedies. So
Yeah, I'm more than a beautiful face, people.
yeah, I get that problem all the time.
I know.
It's more than just this.
Yeah, exactly. But that's why you see, like with Halle Berry, she got to do Monster because her name sold tickets. Charlize Theron, she got to do, I forget the name of the movie that she did where she played a murderer, I think. She put on all that weight. And I always say the pretty people get to be ugly when they get to, they get to a certain level, then you can play those ugly roles, you know. So, but it's hard. This business is all types,
Yeah.
and it's okay to be typecast for a
But
while.
they need all types. That's the other thing too. Just like they need all ages. People don't understand they need 70-year-olds in
Yeah.
part. They
Oh,
need
yeah.
somebody who's 56 and 12.
I just saw something. Oh my God, I don't remember the actor's name. He's a character actor. He was in 21 Jump Street. He played like the gym teacher. He's in
Okay.
everything. Like him. He's such a great he was in The Hangover. He was one of the cops where their cop car got
Like,
stolen.
was that
Anyways,
Mike Tyson?
no, not Mike Tyson. Not Mike. But yeah, Mike had a whole career before he did acting. But this guy, he was a Marine for 20
Is it
years.
is it Rob Riggle?
It
Jason
might
Berners.
be.
Okay.
It might be.
He was a Marine for 20 years.
He was a Marine for 20 years and then got out of the Marines and started acting. And look at his career now. I mean, he's hilarious and he's in everything. That's the goal, I think, is to be one of those character actors that
Rob
you
Riggle.
can build a career on that of being in a lot of things, not being the named person, but you're in everything. I mean, it's nice
Yeah.
to be the named person, but you know, you can make a great living being a character actor. Um,
Right.
one of our
Yeah.
acting coaches, yeah, sorry.
Well, I was gonna say it's funny because sometimes you're watching a movie and there's an actor in there. You're like, oh, I love that guy. And you don't know who they are, but you've seen them in a million projects. And
Yeah. I just did that last night. I was watching oh God, I don't remember the name of the show, Hacks. And I saw an actress in there and I was like, I know this actress. And so I went to IMDb and I still can't find the project where I know her from. Like and it's really like it's on my mind. It's driving me nuts that I can't hone in on the exact. I can see kind of the scene, but I can't hear the words. It's driving me
right.
nuts.
Well, Jen, I want to get to another question here. We have a question that's coming in. Should actors and models be growing their network? Is that something that's important for them to do?
Yeah.
And so how do they do that?
So every time you have an audition, you're networking, right? I know that the world is all self tapes, right? So you send this thing off into the ether and then you never hear anything, right? but you are making an impression on a casting director every time you submit an audition tape. And I think that that gets lost a little bit. I had an agent friend of mine, and we were at an event, and she had a client who was booking a series, and which is amazing. And the casting director said to her, I have been waiting 2 years to book this kid. I love her so much. But it took 2 years to find, all the pieces to come in. But she kept calling her in on everything. So just remember that every tape you send in, you're making an impression on a casting director. So you want to make sure that you are sending in a good tape every time. And, you may not get feedback. Well, you probably aren't going to get feedback. If you get a call back, that's feedback. That's your feedback right there. Don't waste your time on feedback. If there's important feedback, casting will tell your agent and your agent will tell you. Other than that, it's a waste of time to stress out about, can I get feedback? Can I get feedback? Can I get feedback? No, your feedback is you didn't get a call back, not your role. Keep studying, keep coaching. So it's important, like if it's a big role, you've got to get coached, and you've got to get coached by the right person, and sometimes, it takes a little while to find that person that you really click with. So it's really important that way. I would say also following casting directors, following producers and directors, not hounding them, but just following them, liking their stuff. If they put up a poll, answer the poll. One of my old clients that I represented when I was an agent, she just came and worked with me, and she's done movies and TV shows and everything. And she was just kind of like, Jenn, I just want to talk to you, like talk through like what's going on. Can I do more? Do I need more? Or am I doing everything right and I need to just sit back and just keep doing what I'm doing? And she got on the short list for a movie that, and she didn't end up getting it, but she reached out to the director and just through Instagram and sent him a message and said, hey, thank you so much for this opportunity. I really was excited about this project. I'm excited to see it come out. And just something short and sweet, right? And he wrote back to her and said, you were really great. I look forward to working with you somewhere down the line because I really loved what you did. So, that's your connection. You don't want to be pushy. You don't want to be cheesy. You got to find that fine line in there, but just sort of engaging with them that way.
Yeah, I love that. And the thing I tell people too is if you have an audition, they chose you, right? Out of the thousands of people that applied for that opportunity, you've probably made the top 10%. I would imagine maybe they selected, 50 to 100 audition tapes. So they want to see you. So that's a great thing to celebrate, there. But their job is they can only choose one person. And so no matter what that audition's for, if it's a high paying job or if it's pays next to nothing, do it the best you can because you want to build those fans. Like you said, you never know who's watching, who's seeing this, who's loving it. You might not get feedback, you might not get selected, but maybe they wanted to work with you.
They take notes. They're like, oh, I really like this actor or actress, they keep notes on everybody and they watch every tape, which God, that's a lot. I don't love self-tapes. I'm a people person. So I like to see people in person, but yeah. And the other thing is, there are 3,000 to 5,000 people submitted for every role, at least, if not 7,000. Right? They may see 300 to 500, maybe out of that. So how do you stand out from those people? And again, going back to having the right materials, making sure your resume is updated and looks professional. You're studying with the right people so that when they sift through and they're like, oh, like, I don't know you, but man, I love your headshots. And oh my God, you're studying with this person and this person and this person. All right, I think they're going to be right for this. I'm going to send ask for a self-tape, So it's really important to have your materials polished and looking the right way and making sure that if you do have an agent, that you've given your agent exactly what they asked for. If they say, I'm struggling with your headshots, your response should be, oh no, how can I fix this for you? What do you need? Who do you want me to shoot with? And listen, if money's an issue, just tell them, hey, I really want to do this for you, but I can't afford to spend $500 on new headshots. Do you have somebody who's more inexpensive, or can you give me like a couple months to save up the money to do it? An agent can work with that. If you just ignore, then it seems like I want this more than you, and you're not helping me, right? And so then I'm like, maybe I won't pitch them. I'll submit them, but maybe I won't pitch them, and you don't want that to be, right? Your agent is fighting for you for every audition, and every audition you get is a golden ticket. So you need to turn it in on time, never ask for an extension, follow the directions to a T. And I know it's hard because they give you 52 different things that they want in this self-tape. It's like start in close, then pull back, then do this, then show your hands, but do the left hand first and then the right hand, like they give you all these stupid things. And I get it. It's hard. None of you signed up to be session directors, but you have to do your best, because all of those things show the type of actor that you are. Are you that can-do actor who's going to be easy on set? Or are you going to be a pain in the ass? And you don't want to be the pain in the ass. Even when you're up at that level, you don't want to be that person. You want to be like, hire me. Sure. You want me to do again? No problem. What do you need? Those are the type of clients that work, that casting directors will fight for, that agents will fight for. If you're a pain in their butt and they've got to track you down and you're always late and you never turn things in on time and your tapes suck, why would I fight for you? I'm working for free. So you've really got to make the most of this opportunity and make your agents or manager's life easier. They shouldn't have to beg for stuff. You just have to be honest. If it's something you can't afford or you can't do right now, we can work with that. We can't work with you just ignoring us, because unfortunately that means you're not going to be submitted as much. And you may get a drop letter,
It's all about the little things. I try to really impress that on people as much as possible.
Yeah.
Speed is very important. If I get impressed when a client sends me something after I sent it to them 2 hours earlier, and so if that impresses me, and then of course I shoot it off, immediately, because I want to impress casting with that as well. So the little details, and I know that people are busy and I don't expect that from everybody, but the more you can focus on those details, following instruction, replying as quickly as possible. I love the clients I could reach out to and they reply immediately, right? Those I love.
Those are the ones that you're going to pitch, right? If casting calls you and they're like, oh my God, Jen, we're in callbacks. They decided to add an Asian kid. Can you get me an Asian kid by 6 o'clock? They call me because they know that I have clients that I can get there. And I've got certain parents where I would go, no problem, I got you. And I call those parents that answer my call within 5 to 10 minutes. I had one mom who I would leave her a voicemail. She would call me back within 2 minutes, not ask for me, confirm, and make it. And wow. That's the person that I pitched, like anything that any of her kids were right for. I was like, oh my gosh, Lily is great for this. Michael's great for this. Those are the kids that I fought the hardest for, because they made my life easier and they were good at what they did because they followed direction.
I love how you mentioned, because I work for free, and people tend to forget that you are working for free until somebody books, right? And so you want your life to not be complicated. You want it to be filled with easy to work with clients. That's ideal, right?
Well, and it's a fast-paced business, right? You do not want your agent or manager spending 15, 20 minutes trying to track you down, keep asking you, are you going to send the tape in? When am I going to get the tape? You want your agent spending that time submitting, pitching, having coffee with a casting director, schmoozing with a producer, a director, Netflix, anything. You want your agent and manager spending time on those things that are going to benefit you, and not you going, how do I join SAG? How do I do this? That's where I come in. I have a lot of agent friends who will say, I love this parent or this actor. They're brand new. They don't know anything. And I don't have time to explain it to them. Like, can you do a session with them and get them up to speed so that they understand what I need. And so I work with a lot of agents and managers that way as well, because again, when you make their life easier, they work harder for you. They have more time for you. They have more bandwidth for that. And that's what you want. Because one of the reasons I'm not an agent anymore is because this business has become very volume based. You need to have twice as many clients as you used to in order to make the same amount of money. One of the best commercial agents in LA, she's like, you used to be able to have like 150, 200, 250 clients and you could go gangbusters with booking. Now she's like, I need to have 500, 600 clients to make have the same amount of bookings and make the same amount of money. So this business is volume based. Yes, there are a ton of platforms where everything is, but that has complicated things. We are not filming as many pilots anymore. Like during pilot season, there used to be 90 pilots that would come out, 90 possible new shows. Now, obviously, not all of them got picked up. Last year, I think there were 14 pilots, and they're going straight to show, right? So it's Netflix or it's Disney Plus. So it's 10 episodes. It's no longer 22 episodes. And it's 10 episodes and then you're done, right? Like who knows if it gets picked up, so it's very different now. So you really have to be on top of your game and you have to be competitive because of self-tapes. Now they're seeing people in Puerto Rico. They're seeing people in London and Australia and Canada. They're doing a worldwide. Whereas before, if you lived in LA, you were golden, right? Everything was cast either in LA or New York and they would cast it in both locations. But now it's worldwide. Yeah. Which is great for everybody who's worldwide. For the people in LA and New York, it makes it harder. But that just means you have to be better.
Because I'm a leading man here in Puerto Rico, it's easier for me to book those roles, right? So
yeah,
it's great.
Yeah, exactly. So you don't even have to be in LA anymore. You can be in Puerto Rico on the beach in a hurricane.
Exactly.
And book a role.
Well, I love it too. The other thing I think is great is I tell clients is be honest too. If there's a deadline coming up about a self-tape, just let me know. If I'm reaching out to you and saying, hey, is this coming in? You just tell me, hey, my boss called. They needed me to pick up the second shift today. They called me in. My coworker was sick. I'll get to it as soon as I'm off shift at 8 p.m. or whatever it is. But just be honest. Just let me know because then I stop worrying about it. I go, okay.
Yeah.
You're still alive. Yeah.
What's going on?
Right. Yeah. You don't have to lie about it. Like, okay, yeah, I'm getting it to you right away. I'm on it right now. And then 5 hours later, it still doesn't come in. We all understand that you have lives and obligations and commitments.
And there are going to be times when you're something comes up. And again, I love what you said. Communicate that. We can work with, but you have to communicate it. And I'll just say this on communication. Communicate in a clear and concise manner, right? Yes. Do not tell me my dog is dying and give me a novel reason of every step of what's happened. Just say, oh my God, Jen, our family dog is dying. I don't think I can do this today. And then I might say, oh my God, what's happened? And then you can explain to me. Otherwise, do not. And also, this client that I was working with the other day, she said, well, I'm back from college, but I haven't had any auditions. I said, have you communicated that? Have you said, hey, I'm living in LA. I'm back from college. I'm ready to go. Anything and everything, I'm yours. And she said, no, I just said, hey, I'm here. And I was like, okay, you need to communicate in a better way. She goes, yeah, I see that now. I'm like, because they think, oh, you're here for a week and then you're going back to college. Like agents and managers might be easier because you have fewer clients, but agents might have 300, 600, 1,000 clients. We can't keep everybody's schedule in our head, which is why it's important to communicate clearly so they can be like, oh, she's done with college. She lives in LA. I can submit her on everything. Because I said to the agent, I was like, what do you think of this client? She goes, oh, I love her, but she's in college. And I was like, oh. So I said to her, I go, she thinks you're in college. oh, I probably should have communicated that. I'm like, yep. So, and these things are fixable. So now she's communicating in a clear, concise way. Hey, I'm going out of town to New York. I'm going to take my self-tape equipment with me. So I won't be available for in person, but I can put myself on tape. I will be back on this date. That's a clear way, of like, rather than going, hey, I'm out of town these dates. Then the agent has to write back. Are you available for self-tapes? Make it easy so that the easier your agent's life is, the more they can work for you and your managers. Sorry, I always speak from the agent's point of view because I was an agent. So, but managers are included in all of this.
The message should be enough information, obviously your name and everything involved, that we could respond okay. Like we don't have to respond with 20 questions or, with whether it be emails or text messages or anything.
Yes.
Hey, Jeremy, this is John here. I already have John's number saved, right? But just wanted to let you know I'll be, happening this or that, and make life easy.
I had a manager say to me, I worked with a manager who signed a new client, and they send all their new clients to me to get them up to speed, get the Coogan work permit, all of the websites so that everything looks good. He's like, I can't do that. I don't have time for it. I said, well, I'm your girl. But he said, tell them not to send me a huge novel, because then I feel like I have to respond with a novel, right? Because otherwise, if you send a novel and it's like, okay, then it seems kind of dismissive. And he's like, but I don't have the time or the bandwidth to write a novel back, so these are just little things to think about that can make a huge difference,
and I don't know about you, but I don't know how many times I've heard the family emergency line as an excuse in my life. Thousands, to where you get to the point where you're almost jaded. In fact, I would rather not hear about a sick dog or a dying grandmother. I would rather it just be, hey, something came up, I'm not available. Because it's gotten to the point where I actually have a folder that I put them in. And it's sad because I know that some of them are telling me this excuse, and it's true.
Yeah.
But I know that 95% of them are not, only because I hear it so much. And And it's like, wow, how many family members have died in your family over the last 3 weeks? It's incredible. It's like once you start working with me, your family members just start passing away. Is it me? Is there something happening? I kid you not. There was a guy. there was one I heard, and again, I don't mean to be jaded, but I hear it so much all the time that this guy, the best one I've heard, or the worst one I heard, is this guy said that his wife was out in the yard, and lightning struck the tree and fell on top of her, and she was stuck, and he was trying to get her out, and then his home caught on fire and burned down. And this was an excuse for him to not make an appointment. It wasn't a client or anything. And I thought, it's the craziest story I've ever heard. I mean, I really feel bad for the guy if it's true, but I hear about these family emergencies more than anything else in my life. And I kind of get a little jaded. And I think I actually looked it up too. I looked up where he's from, and I wanted to, because this would obviously be on the news if that dramatic of an experience happened, and I didn't see anything that happened locally about a tree falling on a woman.
I will say that I had a client, Boti Bliss, and she recurred on CSI Miami. She was one of the hot, sexy techs, They're all hot and sexy techs in the medical examiner's office. And so she was like recurring all the time on the show. And I had one casting office, and I'm telling you, every time I submitted her, she wouldn't be available for, like, they would shift a date and then she wasn't available. And they just said to me, listen, like, I'm just not going to call her in anymore. And my client was like, I feel horrible, but I'm literally working. And I just stopped submitting her to this casting office because for whatever reason, it always collided. But casting was like, I'm not even going to call her in anymore because she's never available. I go, she is working. She's recurring on a TV show, like, I'm not trying to be difficult. She is good. And so I just had to stop submitting her to casting until they were on hiatus, because she just had such a heavy, like it, and it was so haphazard, as recurring roles go, and it would just
Right.
always align with this one casting director. And I was like, she goes, I was like, I feel like I should just stop submitting to this casting director. She's like, it's fine. I feel horrible every time I have to cancel because I'm working. So,
Right.
casting remembers those things too. Like, oh, they never send a tape in. Why bother giving them an appointment time? So,
All of your
agent
the
looked at
professionals right, all the professionals that you work with are going to understand something comes up or whatever. But when when it happens consistently all the time, that's
yeah.
when it comes into question.
And you're
That's
taking an opportunity away from your agent for booking that. You were their opportunity to actually make money, right? They fought for this audition time for you, and now you've just thrown it away like a piece of trash. And it's like, and sometimes agents can't replace. So now I've just lost, I had one appointment for something. Now I have no appointment. So I have no, horse in the race here. So now my ability to book a job and make money is gone. I had an actor once who put down that he was an expert basketball player. He was like 18, 19. And so I submitted him as an expert, and he got an appointment time. He had to go to a basketball court, an outdoor court. And he called me from the car and he was like, "Oh my God, Jen, I'm not that good of a player." And I was like, "What did you think expert meant?" He goes, "Well, I'm really good, but these guys are really good." And I'm like, he goes, I can't audition for this. And I said, "Are you kidding me?" I go, "Well, P.S. I'm going to tell them that you had diarrhea and you can't make the appointment now." He goes, "No, don't do that." And I was like, "I'm doing it because that was stupid on your part. You knew going into it. Like, you read the breakdown. I told you what it was. You said you were an expert." So I told him that he got a stomach bug and he had diarrhea in the car. He never did it again. He never did it again. He's like, "Oh my God, I'm going to be poopy pants for this casting office." I'm like, "Not my problem, dude."
And then on his resume, instantly changed to intermediate basketball player.
I said, "Listen, if you put expert, that means you're competing against people who either play it professionally or playing at a high level." So right. He was like, "Oh, yeah." Right. I was like, "Yeah." So don't always be honest with your skill set, Well,
I know we're running out of time here. I want to get information on how people can reach out to you. Right now, let me just check the streams that we have. We have about 5 million viewers here, so we want to make sure you get flooded.
Look at you.
No, I want to make sure that we get your information on how people can reach you or how they can get in contact with you. And then I also want to ask you one last question before we sign off. So real quickly, how can someone, let's start with that. I'll put that in the notes here to go across the bottom. If somebody decides, hey, I would love to pick your brain, I would love to schedule a meeting, I would love to find that workbook that you talked about, where's the best place for them to go?
They can go to my website, which is the Hollywood Prep, prep.com. And you can also follow me on Instagram at the Hollywood Prep. I have everything under the Hollywood Prep. So to try to make it as easy as possible. But
okay, so
yeah.
I added this at the bottom. Make sure that's correct. Is that?
Yep, that's it. Oh, that's cool. Love that. Look how cool you are.
So follow you on Instagram to get information, obviously to reach out, and then go to your website to find all your resources.
Yes, don't message me on Instagram because I'm not great on responding on Instagram. There's too many places where people can meet you. So you can go to my website. Up at the top, it says, let's talk. Just click that button. You can schedule a free 10-minute call with me. And then let's figure out like the best way that I can support you. And then I have a lot of resources and blogs on my website. So feel free to check them out. And also one of the things that I do with clients too is, I notice a lot of times, and I don't know if you've ever noticed this, Jeremy, like sometimes when clients go to, events like yours and other showcase events, a lot of times the parents or the actors they don't really know all the next steps, or they don't really have it straight in their mind. And so I'll work with clients either at events or before an event, just to make sure, like, do your headshots look good? Is your resume where it's supposed to be? Here are some questions that agents are going to ask you so that you can kind of be prepared. And especially like with child actors, we teach our kids to be polite, don't speak out of turn. So what happens when a child meets an agent and we're like, hey, how are you? And they're like, fine. It's like, oh, what's your favorite color? Blue. It's like, I'm looking to connect with you, but we've trained our kids to be so polite that an agent's going to pass on them. They're going to go, oh, they're not ready yet. So I work on these little things because to try to get them to fall in love and make a connection with you as an actor or your child. And that way, then it's like, oh God, they're not really there yet, but I really love them. I'm going to take them on and I can get them trained up and, in that way. Whereas if you're not prepared for the event, and it's like, oh, there's going to be a lot of groundwork that needs to be laid, I don't really have the time to get somebody up to speed to sign them. So if you can show up like a can-do parent or actor and already know your place and what they need, and you're like, you got it, no problem. I already have those things. I'm ready to go. You already know those things. Your self-tapes look great, all of that. It's much easier sign. So you can really make the most of that event, because those events are so amazing, and you get to be in front of these amazing agents and managers, which is like, you would never get those opportunities, but let's make the most.
It's a great opportunity for everybody, right?
Yeah. So let's make the most of it.
I love that. And also, just guiding the parents through that process is important, because there's so many times where you see this kid, maybe he's 8 or 10 and he's great, right? But parents are maybe a little crazy, and they have to understand that it's not just the kid that's involved with the agent. Even though that they're the client, the agent understands that they have to go and get approval from parents, and so they're thinking, can I work with these parents? Are these parents going to be somebody that are going to respond right away? Even though their client's the 10-year-old, mom and dad make all the choices, so it's important to give those parents that guidance.
And parents can ruin it for their kid, by being difficult, thinking they know more than an agent does, right? I mean, there's nothing more infuriating when somebody thinks they know more than you do, Like, I would have things that parents would say to me, and I'd be like, I've been doing this for 30 years. Like, I kind of know what I'm doing, but if you want to take it over, fine, I'll release you from your contract. You be the agent, It's like, oh, no, I didn't mean that. Well, sure sounded like it. Other moms do not know more than your agent or your manager. Okay. Like, again, we work for free. We want you to work. We took you on because we love you. We are passionate about you. Our goal is to have you working, because guess what? If you're working, you make me look good, right? I'm making money. Everybody's like, oh my God, Jenn has the best kids in town, or the best actors in town. This is like a very, it's a real team effort, and it's a real relationship. So you really have to, treat it that way. And parents sometimes just don't understand. And so when I work with them, it's so crazy. The other day, I saw a mom said to me, well, I've been looking at the breakdowns on Actors Access, and I don't see any roles for my kid. There's not a lot of Asian roles. And I went, you don't see what agents see. Oh, these aren't all the breakdowns? And I was like, no, you're seeing bottom level. We don't even submit on that stuff. They don't even release that to agents because they know we won't work on it. And she was like, oh, and I've had 2 people say that to me. And I was like, oh my God, like, who's telling them that these are all the roles that are out there? I was like, I got to get the word out.
You have to get more clients.
So so there's little things like that, or just understanding, what, your kid is doing great. It's just not the right role for them, Well,
I appreciate your time this weekend. I'm sure you have a busy weekend planned there in beautiful part of California, and the wind is picking up. I'm sorry to disappoint all those people who are wanting to see me get blown away, but that did not happen on the broadcast. Maybe in the near future. It is getting more windy. Looks like the rain's about
to coming behind you, like Twister.
I
A
hear
long
sirens
trip.
going on in the distance, so
Oh, no. I
the
hope
sun
you're
is
safe.
coming. Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah, wish me luck this weekend. I'll see everybody on our Tuesday session if the hurricane doesn't get me in between now and Tuesday. So let's just put it that way.
I hope you're
Well,
there on
Jen,
Tuesday.
Jen, enjoy your weekend. Thank you so much. I know that we solved most of the world's problems today. I think there were still a few we could have gotten to, but I do appreciate your time. It was great seeing you again, and hopefully we'll see each other in person in the near future.
I would love that. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone. I'm here if you need help.
Bye, guys. Have a great weekend, everyone. It's good seeing you guys. We'll see you guys on Tuesday.